I'm not sure it's my favorite. Oh, you're not taking sides, are you? Oh yeah, I suppose I am. So we're going to have some fun then. How do you mean? I'm only really allowed to do what you guys are doing to follow your lead. Really? Yep. I'm supposed to write my own story. No, absolutely, it would be meaningless. Wouldn't connect up. So what then? Well, if we're taking sides today, let's pull out all the stops. Let's take sides like there's no tomorrow. Maybe we ought to tone this down. Don't want to interrupt my meditation, do we? Oh, you've got to be kidding. We're in certain column. This is Axis Mundi, grade 3. Nothing whatsoever can disturb your meditation now. Oh, okay, if you say so. Oh, we have rules baying at the doors. They, the people in our drama, the people reading this, the equally wonderful people not reading this, receiving it not, knowing it without knowing how. Oh, wait a minute, I meant to say the computer was trying to figure out. Shh, yeah, the computer detailed the story, don't interrupt. Oh, dictatorial megalomaniac. Oh yeah, you put me to shame. And supposing for a moment it's true? Supposing what's true? We're all in it together. In your computer. Computer story, these are just metaphors, images to describe the indescribable. And what? All in it together. Oh, I lost my thread. What does it mean? Presumably we can write whatever code we wish, as long as it doesn't break the flow, as long as it doesn't time out. Precisely, you see. If we are writing... Are we back? Oh, okay, we are back. Good. Phew. So back to the naked people in the jungle. Which, what you're supposed to be at some point of your career. If at some point of your career you don't find yourself naked in the jungle, then, well, you're not going anywhere. Not really. So, paradise is close at hand, Shangri-La, the promised land, seventh heaven on demand, quite unusual nowadays, virgin vistas, undefiled, minds and bodies running wild, in the man behold the child, on the trail we blaze. Anything you can tell me about it? So obviously, like we already mentioned, we make the connection, make it more clear how El Dorado is basically the same as paradise, a Shangri-La, the promised land. It's all the same idea, seventh heaven. Now they say it's close, it's close. It's close at hand, it's always close. That's the tricky little bit. It is always close. The paradise is always close. It's like you stretch out your hand and it's there, but it belongs to a different kind of, well, you could say reality, but it's more like perception. If you remember that story from the New Testament, like when Jesus came back from the dead, and he was walking and nobody could recognize him. Do you remember?
Yes.
So this is what happened. How come people who knew him well could not recognize him? He was really close at hand, but at the same time he was a world away. So they were looking at him and not seeing him. The same is with the paradise, or the promised land, Shangri-La, whatever you call it. It's always really, really close to you. It's not far away. But what stops you from getting there is perception. So the barrier, let's say, can be just 10 centimeters from you, figuratively speaking. Or you have it a lot in like the Bible, like when somewhere in the Old Testament, I think it was Abraham or somebody, they were walking around for a long, long time. They couldn't find a specific mountain. But if you look at the map, then it was just there. So they were walking around, they couldn't see it because they weren't ready to see it because it was a special place. They were just walking around it for months and months and months. So the same as with the paradise. It's always right behind you, right in front of you, right all around you. But as long as you're not ready to see it, you won't see it. Ironical, isn't it? Because when you say paradise, the promised land, you imagine somewhere far away, that you have to come a long way to find it. But maybe it's not true. Maybe it's as easy as turning on the light by clicking the switch. Maybe. So paradise is close at hand. Shangri-La, the promised land. Again, if it's promised, then you'll get it because it's promised, but you don't know if you get it now or later or earlier. But if it's promised, it's a promise, then it will be kept. It's already yours, but from a linear point of view, it's not yours yet, but from the more general point of view, it's already happened, it's promised. Seventh heaven on demand. Interesting. Magic of seven. And again we have paradise, which is like Christian, more or less. Shangri-La, which has nothing to do with Christianity or America or El Dorado. But still it has the same idea. Seventh heaven, which we bring to earth. So paradise is somewhere on earth, Shangri-La is somewhere on earth, seventh heaven, now it's on earth too, on demand. So on demand, can you tell me something about it? Why on demand?
Well, they are being ironic here, as they were in the first stanza where resumes were mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
On demand is something that characterizes European or American way of life, where lots of things are available, where the choice is often huge, and where many nice things are available on demand. So you choose, you press the button, and there it comes.
Yeah.
That's probably how it is going to come there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of irony and tongue-in-cheek in this poem. So on one hand, you can take it seriously. On the other hand, you can just take it childishly. And again, you should be both, like in this clip, like in this film. The two sides are equally engaged. You have to be serious, and you have to be childish. You have to be practical, and you have to be daring, all at the same time. So there is a lot of irony if we read it as related to the, let's say, reality at hand, or this irony can suddenly disappear if you read it in a more open way. Alexandra?
Well, I think when we talk about heaven on demand, I'm looking at it from both sides. Like from one side, it is your choice whether you believe in paradise and heaven or not, and whether you do something to reach this paradise of heaven in one way or another, whether you choose to work for this. I agree that it is also, they make an irony of capitalistic society where you can buy the seventh heaven with money or in shop, and it's not about spiritual anymore. It's about financial, something material.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know if it's bad because I'm not a fan of the idea that all the spiritual stuff is good and can bring real joy and happiness. So, I mean, it's so both-sided.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's...
But I really, really love the line, paradise is close at hand, because, as I said, we just enter this story, we enter the journey, and we can see this El Dorado, we can really, really see it, but at the same time, we just see the silhouette, just some black squares, and we don't know actually what El Dorado is. We just have this idea in our mind, and that is what makes this idea so tempting and so desirable for us.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite lines so far.
Good. Yeah, like you say, promoting just the so-called spiritual side is indeed a bit of a trap, because it has to be balanced. If you just sit cross-legged, it doesn't take you anywhere far. It has to be action and not action, and the horse, and Tulio and Miguel all together. Okay, so on demand, again, a beautiful line, because it brings you so many meanings, associations. First of all, like we say, it's a bit of having fun on a capitalistic system where you can just buy it, where you can buy the spirit, where you can buy your paradise. But at the same time, if you turn it, so we can always turn it. We can apply the same code, the same line. Oh, that's a crazy cat. We can apply the same code to our reality, and there would be one meaning, one result. Or we can apply it in a broader context, and it will have a different meaning. So if we say seventh heaven on demand, it means, again, if you look at it, you have to demand. You ask for it, and you get it. It's promised, you ask and get it. There's no problem. But you have, again, pioneers of maximum. If you feel like, no, I'm just a miserable nobody, then you will not be demanding paradise. But if you feel, if you can do it, it will be given to you. Not because you are so brave and you can demand, but because you have the power to do it. If you have the power to demand, it means you have the power to hold it, to get it.
Or at least you can have a clear image of these heavens, and you know
what you want.
What is paradise for you? Yeah, you know what you want, and you can verbalize it with words or with wishes.
Because how can they give it to you if you don't know what you want to get? How
do you know what it is? How do you know?
You feel it. You know it. It's you. It's you. It's not outside. It's nothing. It's just you.
How do I know? How can I know my?
Oh, by practice. Easy does it. By running naked in the forest in the first place. Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't know you, then maybe that's time to start and get knowing.
Yes. The question is how? Are we ever able to know ourselves? You remember this ancient philosopher whose dictum was, know thyself.
Aye.
have we advanced very far in that?
Again, you can go the kind of hard way and the clever way, and you'll just get really, really confused. Or you can go the gnomic way, the more childish way, and say, I am me. There's a nice book by Terry Pratchett which is called Witches Abroad. Terry Pratchett, Witches Abroad. So there are there are lots of characters, but two of them are sisters, witches, and one of them is kind of good and the other is kind of not so good. And they have some mirror magic. They have some mirror magic, and in the end, these two witches, the sisters, are trapped in the mirror world. And there are lots and lots and lots of reflections. And it's like, they say, how can I get out of this mirror world? And they tell her, well, you say which one of those is you. And one witch, which was not the nice one, she just runs around from a mirror to a mirror, from reflection to reflection, trying to understand which one is her. But the other one, who had the practice, the power of getting into other people's and creatures' minds, so she had to know who she was, and she's just like, is a trick? No, says the voice. Just say which one is you, and you'll be free. And she says, okay, no problem, and she just points at herself, instead of running around and looking at all the reflections. So I am the one who does the talking, basically. So, where were we? So, Seventh Heaven on Demand. Again, it's about not being afraid of your power, not being afraid to demand if you have to demand, not being afraid of being brilliant if you're brilliant, blazing if you're blazing. Quite unusual nowadays, Virgin Vistas Undefiled, which is again a kind of a funny line, saying that virgins are unusual nowadays, I guess. So Virgin Vistas, like, views, but obviously we think about virgin people, which are waiting at the paradise, undefiled, unspoiled. So is it vistas that are unspoiled, or is it people who are unspoiled in those places? Again, what is virgin? Metaphorically.
Pure.
Pure, untouched, untrod.
Without any.
Like maiden, I think. Like Virgo, the virgin. Unmarried, virgin, maiden, unwedded, fresh, unused, young. So again, you go there, even if you lost your cultural mindful virginity, it's restored back to you, apparently. Undefiled is another good word. Undefiled, like file, like define, labeling, putting into a file, but it's undefiled, unlabeled, You are what you are who you are, without any files or labels on you. Yeah? Because if you say undefiled, that implies that first you were filed, now you're undefiled. So when you find your paradise, your virginity is restored on you. We lose our cultural virginity very early, like by the time we are like, I don't know, 5, 7 years old. When people start telling you what to do and how to do, and what is right and what is not right, and how to be and how not to be. And then you don't know who you are. Like you say, oh, who am I? I don't know. Maybe this monkey, maybe this horse. Because you have too much of it like imposed on you. But again, it's easy, it's nothing. It's just a way of a hand.
Unless some culture moves on you, unless you know how to eat food, unless you don't eat raw food, unless you are taught how to read.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad. Well, of course, it's essential. If you live in society, then it's essential to feed it. Obviously, it's not bad, but it's like not really you, not always. Then you're like, is it me who believes that? Is it me who wants this or that, or is it not really me?
No, it's not really you. It's the outside world that imposes these wishes, ideas, other factors that you only randomly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when you do find your paradise, then you know what is yours and what is not yours. Your virginity is restored unto you, and then you can use the former bits if you want to, but you don't have to, and you realize which is yours and which is not yours. I mean, you may choose to use it, why not? It can be good and useful, but you start to distinguish. Anything else? Okay, minds and bodies running wild. So wild is opposite to what? Cultured, yeah. Or domesticated, tamed, contained, limited, maybe. Civilized, decent. So a mind running wild is a disaster from the point of mind. Yeah? The mind believes that it has to be orderly. The mind believes that if it goes wild, then it's the end. It's the end of all. Because mind is... mind likes to control. Mind likes to be in control. And it thinks that if it loses control, then the whole world just plunges into chaos. So mind running wild is like, oh no! For the mind. It's like, again, who wants to be out of their mind? Oh, I do. Me, count me in. Who wants to lose control? Again, it's an illusion because you never really have any control or any much control. But again, it's a nice illusion. Who wants to lose the control? Who wants to be out of their mind? Here, that is what happens. And it's not the end of the world. On the contrary, it's freedom. You find out that you can do it without becoming crazy. You can be free without being crazy. You can be free without being crazy. And letting your mind run wild is not the end of you, it's not the end of your personality, it's not the end of the world. It's a beginning. And bodies running wild. Again, it's something that culture, society doesn't like thinking about, talking about. Again, the body is supposed to be tamed, decent. Yeah, you're not supposed to, like these guys here, you're not supposed to run around chasing monkeys naked in the forest. How would you feel?
Stupid.
Mm-hmm. But again, it's a part of who we are. And it's amazing how we have 3 parts. Well, again, could be some arguments, but basically 3 parts like mind and body and spirit. And people tend to follow one of them and disregard, forget about, or just deny other 2. So either they say, oh, mind is important, mind is everything, there's no spirit, it's all logical, and the body doesn't matter much because ideas matter. And body is just something stupid and passing, you just need to feed it and wash it. And other people say, oh, well, who needs your ideas, who needs your invisible spirit? You have body, you live on this planet in a body. It's amazing, let's make the most of it. And some other people say, no, we are into spirit. You guys, you understand nothing. Mind, body, that passes, that changes. Only spirit is forever. And then they go on ascetic lifestyle, and they say, no, you shouldn't like please your body. You shouldn't please your mind. Let's just sit and pray. While again, like here, one, the other, and the third has to be in balance. So when you come to that place, then your whole being becomes wild in the sense of free, as opposed to the limited, contained old world where you're supposed to sit quietly and be quiet, yeah? Because your spirit can be wild as it can be, but if your mind isn't wild, if your body isn't wild, then it's nothing. It gives you nothing. It just sits in you and does nothing. It's like the joke about children, like one boy tells the other, like, oh, imagine the adults are so stupid. First they teach you to walk and to talk, and then they tell you to sit quietly. And that is what society teaches you. Again, to be humble. Again, it's good to be humble, but to a certain extent, because it's important to be brilliant as well. Brilliant and humble. And your mind isn't supposed to be wild. You're not supposed to have ideas. Your body is not supposed to be wild. If you have a lesson, then you're not supposed to walk around or dance or do something else which is not approved. Yeah? But here you find your ultimate freedom, the freedom of expression, let's say. Comments?
Oh, yeah.
So how many times people are not doing something they want to do just for the fear of being disapproved, laughed at, like singing, dancing, something else. No, they will look at me, they will point at me. I must not show off, I must not be different, I must not make people smile and bring them joy.
Yeah, that happens much too often.
So that's a very important stanza here, I suppose. So first of all, it's on demand. Again, you have your power and you're not afraid to demonstrate it. Who was it? Was it Kafka with the story about the gates? How there's the gates and the gatekeeper and the person who wants to get through the gates, but the gatekeeper just sits and I don't remember, doesn't answer him or doesn't let him, and the person waits for years and years and years and nothing happens, and in the end he learns that the gatekeeper doesn't matter at all. It's like, well, if you wanted to go through the gates, why didn't you? Well, there was a gatekeeper, so what? It wasn't there to stop you. He wasn't there to stop you. It was you who stopped yourself. So you wanted, you demanded, you get it. Easy. And what else did we have in this stanza? Like virginity restored, undefiled, again breaking free. Mind and bodies running wild. Minds and bodies running wild is a killer line to the cultural mind, to the social mind. It's a killer. It's like, no, never! How can you say so? It's horrible. Bodies running wild, that's an orgy. No, it isn't. In The Man Behold the Child, so if you had any like nasty, dirty thoughts, I don't know, could be, because we are talking about bodies and people tend to think that bodies are something nasty and dirty. But in The Man Behold the Child, we invoke the childish side, and it's like any venom, any poison is just disarmed by invoking the childish side. In The Man Behold the Child, so on one hand you're a man, you are responsible, you know what you want, you know what you're doing. At the same time, in The Man Behold the Child, at the same time you're free and curious and open-minded, and you don't have any rigid ideas, which is why you can be the pioneer. You can't be the pioneer if you have rigid ideas. In The Man Behold the Child, again, a very important line. On the trail we blaze. So we go here and there, but we return to the trail that we make, we blaze. In the poem we can kind of drift away to Shangri-La and things, but we come back to our trail. The trail we blaze is a road uncharted, through terra incognita to a golden shrine, no place for the traveller to be faint-hearted. We are part of the sumptuous grand design. Your comments? Anything? So basically that's the last stanza, because then we just have the repetition of the chorus. So what can we say about this last stanza?
Said, you remember you asked us how we feel if we are already in the story inside the story, or if we're not. So I think to the end of the song, we get to know not the characters in terms of their biography or background, but in terms of their aim and their wishes and their plans for this road. And as they say, and now we change in legend into fact. So we are now in this story, we are now part of the history. And like history has eyes on you, so history is made right now, and we are also part of it. So I think this song smoothly and slowly, introducing us and helps us to enter this world and become the part of it.
Sometimes, or maybe not sometimes, maybe always, you wake up, you invoke some resources just by naming, just by mentioning. So you do have this courage, you do have the spirit, everybody does. And maybe just by reading it, you make it wake up if it's asleep. It doesn't have to be. It's like, oh, now I remember. So I could do that. Yeah, now I can do it. Now I know I can do it. I remember. Oh, Sergey?
Well, yes, very good. I'm starting from the word design.
Okay, so the trail we blaze is a road uncharted, which is a little bit paradoxical. On one hand, this trail does not exist, we have to make it. On the other hand, it already exists and we just blaze it. It's a road, it's a trail, it's a road, but it's uncharted. If it's a road uncharted, it is there, but we just have to renew it. If we make it, then it never existed. How do you explain it? How do you feel about it?
Oh, there was a map, wasn't there? The map of charts was made.
If you look at the map that they had, it's not a very detailed map. Again, it's hints. Where was it? Somewhere here. So it's not something that tells you where to go in terms like here you turn right, you turn left, then like GPS, Google, something. It gives you hints and you have to decipher them for yourself. Like we had some nice, like here, yeah? So it shows like an eagle. It doesn't say go here, go there. It says you proceed, then you see the eagle. And you see, so maybe it's this. It looks like an eagle. Yeah? And at this point, the childish guy can see it. And he can see that the map is working. But the practical guy, the more practical guy, he says, no, it's rubbish. You're seeing things, you're imagining things. Yeah? So again, the map is not straightforward. The map works for you and you read it. Like now we read a poem and we make our sense of it. Again, like any poem, like any piece of art, like anything really. Or here you see a crying face. And he's like, oh look, this waterfall looks like a face. Again, it's the perception. It's not the fact. It's a perception, because different people would see it differently. And if you have the map, you have to be on the same wave as the map, or it would not make any sense to you. So on one hand, you have the map. On the other hand, how to read it is an entirely different question. If you don't see a crying face in this waterfall, then the map will not help you. Yeah? So it's charted, but it's uncharted. There are no specific instructions, but there are very clear hints. If you are on the same perception wave as the map. Again, a poem can be a map, and how you read it, what you see, or where you go with it, depends on your perception on how you see it. It doesn't depend on the poem itself that much. So the trail we blaze is a road uncharted, through terra incognita to a golden shrine. So the incognita. What is incognita?
You're alone when nobody knows your identity.
So something that...
So it's about cognition. It's about our ability to know something.
Yeah. So incognita, something that you cannot know. Yeah. Gnomike coming in. Incognita. So it's the terra, the land. Again, like we started with a new world, new everything, new rules, new physics, new laws, new consequences, new connections. You can't use your old knowledge, but you can use your knowledge, like in Gnomike. Yeah?
Yeah.
Which does not depend on what kind of reality you're in. It's knowing is like instant, and it's universal. So when you move from one world to another, then your knowledge might not work, but your knowledge will always work, as long as you can hear it, as long as, again, you're in the same perception field. So you go through this land which cannot be known, and if you do it, then you find your golden shrine. So finally we have the word gold, because if you think, it's El Dorado, it has to be all about gold, but you only have mention of gold in the very end. Maybe because we have to go through all this path, this trail to come to the golden shrine. Then of course when we say golden, in mythology and poetry, golden is not so much metal as the gold of knowledge, the sun. Basically, the sun is the other world. So when you have golden things in fairy tales, it instantly means that these things belong to the other reality. So interestingly, the word hell is like bright, means you may say golden. So fire, gold, means other reality. If you go through all that way, you find a new world, which is literally new world, a new dimension, new universe, other world, golden shrine. And of course, you have shrine, like related to spirit, or shrine. no place for the traveler to be faint-hearted, which is also true. Because, as we already mentioned, all will be revealed, good and bad. So it's not a happy Sunday picnic, although it is, as you can see on their faces. But you can't be faint-hearted. Your heart has to be strong. Your spirit has to be strong. Okay, you're the pioneer. Yeah, again, brave. Your heart is what guiding you. Again, what does it mean, faint-hearted or strong-hearted? Maybe it's the same, knowing, believing, trusting your intuition, your intention. So if you're faint-hearted, then somebody says, "Oh, well, it's just rubbish. How can you follow it? It's rubbish. It's stupid." And you're like, "Oh, well, yeah, you're right. It's stupid. I'll go and watch something else." But if you can't be faint-hearted. You make your intention, you follow it, and no matter what. No matter what. No matter what, because otherwise you'll be just distracted every other second. Because if you're a pioneer, then nobody knows if it's right or wrong. There's no right and left and wrong and up and down. It's new. But from the old world's point of view, it's all wrong and stupid just because it's different. And then they all will tell you, "Oh, no, it's not from our frame of reference, so it has to be wrong and stupid." And if your heart is faint, then you just give up. Then you listen to them and you say, "Oh, yeah, you're right, I'm wrong. Oh, no." There's no place for the traveler to be faint-hearted. Comments? And we have lots of metaphors and images for life path. Yeah, path is a common image, life path. So you can see yourself as a warrior who fights the way through with some obstacles. Or you can have this more peaceful image of a traveler. Again, a very common and traditional image. A hero is a traveler, in search of self, basically. Home or paradise is self, which we are looking for. Treasure is self that we are looking for. So you are a traveler. A traveler has no face, no home, no identity. You have to leave it all behind. You are on terra incognita. You're completely dissolved, taken apart into little bits, and you're like a floating cloud of molecules or atoms. And you have no idea if you will recollect yourself, if those flying molecules will recollect into you by the end of your journey. You don't know, maybe not. But that's what you do. And then you find the golden shrine. So we have mind, we have body, we have heart. We have all of it in this text in the song, which is kind of nice. Comments? No? Okay, and basically the last line is we are part of the sumptuous grand design, so there's no place for us to be faint-hearted. You have no ideas about it? Nothing to say, nothing to see, nothing to do, do. Do you know the song?
No.
Who was it? Was it Badfinger or some would say?
Finger.
Nothing to say, nothing to see, nothing to do, do. Lyrics. Jeffrey Tall, maybe not. Who was it? Was it Badfinger? Maybe not. Ah, yeah. That's lovely.
Bad singers.
Bad singer. No matter what you are, I will always be with you. Doesn't matter what you do, go with you. So it's kind of related because again, it doesn't matter what you do. I'll be always with you. The same in that poem. What you're doing is really, really weird. New World is always weird. So that's what you're telling yourself, no matter. Why would matter? Knock down the old grey wall, be a part of it all, nothing to say, nothing to see, nothing to do. If you would give me all as I would give it to you, nothing would be. No matter where you go, there would always be a place. Can't you see it in my face? Go. Basically it's the same message, like knock down the old grey wall and be a part of it all. And here, look out, New World, here we come, pioneers of maximum. And we are part of sumptuous grand design. So basically. So what they are saying here, you can't be faint-hearted because you are a part of this great, great, grand design. There's a plan to our existence, and either you play your part, or you're not needed, or you are just a little bot in the system who knows, like, hello, what, and can I have more tea? And that's all you can say. So if you become, if you play your part actively, if you accept your part, if you are ready to go to the end through the jungle, then you will get help because you're doing it, and you're not doing it for yourself. It's a part of something bigger than your plan. But then you can't be faint-hearted. You can't just stop and say, oh, well, I've changed my mind, because the stakes are too high. You can't turn back. It's like if you become a monk in a monastery, then you can't go back. Yeah? If you step on this path, you can't just turn back halfway through. And have you ever been hiking, like in a forest or somewhere else? So you would know that if you're hiking, you can't just say, oh, well, I'm a bit tired. No, you have to walk the whole way through to get out. If you're going for a walk in the forest, and it's like, oh no, it's too long, I'm cold and hungry and tired, you will not be teleported to your house. You have to walk it to the end. So there's no place to be faint-hearted. So on one hand you are childish, at the same time your heart is strong. A man and a child at the same time. Then you can go through it. Then you can find El Dorado. Comments?
Impossible.
How? What is impossible? Impossible is something that does not exist in the current paradigm, in the current frame of reference. It's impossible within a specific frame of reference, specific system. You go out to the new world, how can it be impossible there? How do you know if it's impossible there, if it's new? Again, you're talking from the regular point of view. And nothing is impossible. How can anything be impossible if the universe is infinite? The second you invoke infinity into your play, into your equation, then you see that nothing is ever impossible.
Well, if nothing is ever impossible, then nothing is ever possible.
How so?
Well, if nothing is impossible, then it's not impossible that nothing is impossible.
Oh, well, that's a fizz.
Yes, I'm trying my best.
Again, it can coexist. That's back to our dear Gödel about the great side of infinity is that it's infinite. So nothing is possible and nothing is impossible coexist in infinity because it's infinite. Easy peasy. The idea is it doesn't have to exist at the same time, you see. But infinity being infinite, it allows everything to be possible and everything to be impossible, or nothing to be possible and nothing to be impossible.
Okay.
More comments?
More Sophie.
Okay. So we can stop here.